Good afternoon, everyone, here at Sugarman Field, as it's going to be a divisional matchup in the Big North American Division as Dumont takes on Fort Lee in this first of two meetings on the season between these two sides, as they'll play once again tomorrow afternoon on the road in Dumont. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Long. So glad that you could join us for another edition of Fort Lee Athletics here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. As Fort Lee is coming in off their first win of the season, a 4-3 victory on the road against Wallkill Valley. And they're going to be trying to take that momentum with them here today against the team that right now currently resides in first place in the Big North American in Dumont. 2-0 record in the division. Ridgefield Park is 3-0-1. Also unbeaten still in divisional play. Fort Lee trying to pick up their first league win of the season. And today taking the rubber on the mound is going to be number 9, Gabe Garcia, as Garcia is going to be trying to improve upon his 5.04 ERA. He has thrown 8 1/3 innings of work this season as he contends with Josiah Guzman, the second baseman, the leadoff hitter here today for Dumont, as he slashes that one foul and out of play for a strike to start off today's action. Peter Kraljic is the head coach of Fort Lee, while Dumont is led by Joe Algieri. Dumont in their road orange tops with the white pants. And the all-home white is Fort Lee, as that breaking pitch missing low outside the zone. That'll even the count at 1-1. Garcia's pitch, as that one will go for a strike to the outside. Now it's 1-2, the count against Josiah Guzman. Guzman, a .364 batting average on the season for Dumont. Lays off that pitch, just missed wide. Guzman, a junior, 7 RBIs on the season, 12 total hits. In their last game, Guzman went 2 for 3 with a triple, 2 stolen bases, and 2 runs scored in their loss against Midland Park. And that's going to be a called third strike on the outside corner, delayed call by the home plate umpire, as Guzman thought he was going to be getting ready for a deeper at-bat. Instead, that's going to be a backwards K, and Guzman is retired for the first out of the game to begin this top of the first inning. That'll bring up Nick Etter, number 1, the senior. Outstanding player for Dumont. Sky-high pop-up. Shifting over to settle underneath that one to put the ball away was Emmanuel Perez. And now there's quickly 2 away with no one on base. Perez getting the start in left field for Fort Lee. Katayama in center. As that pitch is going to be taken high for a ball by Tyler Mertz, the catcher, in his first plate appearance. A swing and a miss there. Mancilla is in right field here today, defensively for Fort Lee. Bridgman have Dorcom down at third. Lee at shortstop, Greenberg at second, Rosario at first, and Senator doing the catching. A swing and a miss. Nice pitch there. Badly fooled Tyler Mertz. Mertz, .414 batting average on the season. Was 2 for 3 and drove in 3 runs in their last game. Hot shot right off the glove of the shortstop Lee, as that'll carry him into left field for the first base hit of the game for Dumont. A 2-out base runner in Tyler Mertz, as the Huskies now have a base runner on here at the top of a scoreless first inning. Lee was the starting center fielder for the majority of the beginning of the season. Marcus Lee, the sophomore for the Bridgmen, he was shifted over to shortstop, as Keizo Katayama, who had been the shortstop for the Bridgmen, now playing in center field. So both of those players had switched their respective positions. Lee just couldn't get enough leather on that line drive right at him. So that'll bring up Tim Gander, the first baseman, who's hitting in the cleanup spot, fourth in the lineup here for Dumont this afternoon, as that breaking pitch missing to the outside, 1-0. Gander, 343 batting average on the season, 1 home run, 10 RBIs, 12 total hits on the year, as that's bounced in the dirt. Dumont not having that base runner, thinking about venturing too far away from the first base bag. Gander went 0 for 3 with a walk against Midland Park. Dumont trying to snap a 2-game losing streak on the season here this afternoon. That also missed outside. It's 3-0 against Gander. Wortley looking to procure that final out of the inning. Runner at first with 2 away. The 3-0. Miss low to the outside for ball 4. That's the first walk surrendered this afternoon by Gabe Garcia. And Dumont now with runners at first and second with 2 outs in the inning. That brings up Ethan Chiramonte, the junior, starting shortstop here this afternoon for the visiting Huskies. Takes that one high, 1-0 the count. Chiramonte slugging a .296 batting average on the season, 6 RBIs, 8 total hits collected. Was hitless in 2 at-bats against Midland Park on April 22nd. Dumont lost 13-5 in their last game against Midland Park. Also lost 8-6 against Bergenfield the day before on April 21st. Slow comebacker, trying to be tracked down by Garcia. The pitcher knocked it down but couldn't get to it cleanly. That's going to be an infield hit for Chiramonte and will load the bases for Dumont. All here with 2 outs in the inning. So a pair of hits and a walk. And Dumont, that had nobody on with 2 outs in the inning, now have loaded the bases and have a serious threat mounting here in the top of the first inning. That'll bring up Anderson Diaz. Diaz swings and misses. Diaz, a .476 batting average on the season for the junior. Has 6 RBIs and has a prime opportunity here to add to that number. Sails that one. That's going to be playable, and coming in to make the play is Fort Lee for the final out of the inning. As Ruben Mancilla doing the job there, the senior getting that final out in right field. So Dumont does not score any runs there in the top of the first inning. They strand 3. We head to the bottom of the first, scoreless in this big North American Division baseball showdown here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. As we head now to the bottom of the first inning, let's meet the lineup here today for Fort Lee. Leading off and doing the catching is Luke Senator. Keizo Katayama is hitting second and playing in center field. Jack Dorcom is third base and hitting third. Franco Rosario is going to be in the cleanup spot, playing first base and hitting fourth. Kyle Ratzker is going to be the designated hitter in the fifth spot. Max Greenberg is the second baseman, hitting sixth. Ruben Mancillo, the right fielder, hitting seventh. Emmanuel Perez hitting eighth and playing in left field, and Marcus Lee hitting ninth. And the shortstop here today as the starting pitcher is going to be number 4, Matthew Mertz for Dumont. This season, Mertz pitching to a 10.50 ERA, has only thrown 2 innings of work, 6 hits, 3 runs allowed, 2 strikeouts, and 3 walks. So Gabe Garcia, who's getting the start here for Fort Lee this afternoon, got out of trouble in that top of the first inning, still scoreless. Garcia pitching to a 5.04 ERA for the Bridgemen. Scoreless as now Fort Lee gets back to work, and again, Fort Lee coming off their first win of the season. Bridgman split their meetings a season ago against Dumont. They roasted the Huskies here at home 15-5 before losing on the road last season at Dumont 7-1. Luke Senator leading things off here for Fort Lee. Hitting .250 on the season. Has produced 4 hits so far this year. First ball swing, drives that one to left field, and that's going to fall. And it's going to be extra bases here for Senator. It fell just inside the fair line. That's going to be a leadoff double for Senator. Great start to this game. That had eyes. It was just clinging its way down the foul line, down the left field line. And it fell fair just in front of Diaz in left field. So a leadoff double. Fort Lee has a runner in scoring position with nobody out here in a scoreless bottom of the first. Brings up Keizo Katayama now, as Katayama takes that one high for a ball. The senior, .529 batting average on the season. He's been the best player this year for Fort Lee. 9 total hits. Katayama drives that one into the back of the cage foul. Keizo went 1 for 3 with a double against Wallkill Valley. Also had 3 innings pitched in that first win of the season. Senator standing down at second base with a leadoff double down the left field line. Katayama will air that one out. Shifting over in center field to make the putout. Bluffing at the run down from a tag from second base, but venturing back to second was Senator. So Katayama flies out to Eder for the first out of the bottom of the first inning. Diaz in left, Eder in center, Frankie Martinez in right field for Dumont. Zutera down at third, Chiramonte at short, Guzman at second, Gander at first, Tyler Mertz catching for his brother, Matthew Mertz. That pitch skies high away from the catcher, trying to advance down to third base and sliding in headfirst safely is Senator. So now Fort Lee has that opening run, potentially standing down at third base with only 1 out here in the bottom of the first inning. As Jack Dorcom, a freshman, hitting .267 on the season, fouls that into the back of the cage and also ricocheted and hit off the top of his head. 1-1 the count now against the freshman. Getting the start at third base this season, .267 batting average on the year. Went 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored against Wallkill Valley. As that pitch missed inside. 2-1 the count. Two one also missing high from Mertz. Now 3-1 the count. As Dorcom is now ahead of the count, 3-1 with the runner down at third base with only 1 out so far here in the bottom of the first. A little chin music, and that misses high and inside. That's ball 4. And Fort Lee now has 2 runners on with only 1 out in the inning. First walk surrendered in this game by Dumont. That'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Franco Rosario. Rosario hitting .250 on the season. Had a good game, though, against Wallkill Valley. Went 2 for 3 with a pair of triples and 2 runs scored. They're going to be trying to see some early offense off of his bat here today. Runners at the corners with 1 away. As that pitch missed. Now 1-0 the count. 57 degrees, cloudy. At opening pitch here this afternoon. Game started a little later than expected with the late arrival of Dumont. Rosario getting out of the way there, nearly got hit. Now he's ahead of the count, 2-0. Senator led off the inning with a double down the left field line. Katayama flew out to center field. Dorcom just drew a walk. Mertz is all over the place. He's wild outside the strike zone for Dumont. and have to think that Rosario's going to be taken all the way here. 3-0 count in his favor. And he does take that for a strike to make it a 3-1 count. Dumont has won 3 out of the last 5 meetings between the two schools, but again, they split both games last season. And that's going to be outside for ball 4, so back-to-back walks now for Matthew Mertz. And the bases are now loaded for Fort Lee here in the first inning, just as they were loaded for Dumont in the top portion of the first. So Rosario does not chase anything outside the strike zone. And the Bridgemen will have an opportunity here to potentially strike for the first runs of the game, as they will bring up their designated hitter in this contest. Number 18, Kyle Ratzker. Ratzker, a .429 batting average on the season. 6 hits, 3 RBIs, was 2 for 4 with a pair of RBIs against Wallkill Valley, as he drove in a couple of those runs in that win. A low-scoring affair that day. Bases loaded, 1 out. Rip shot. That is knocked down by the glove of the third baseman. Dumont's going to try to hustle for the out at third. They do get it, but that will score a run. A hard-hit ball knocked down by Sutera. That's saved for what probably could have been 2 runs to score if he had gotten that past Sutera at third. Sutera with a good hustle of diving to the third base bag for the force out. But that does plate home a run on the RBI ground out, as Ratzker, now with the fielder's choice, will stand out at first base. Taking that one up high was Max Greenberg, the second baseman. Greenberg, .333 batting average on the season for the sophomore. 1-0 lead for Fort Lee here in the bottom of the first inning. Still looking for more with runners at first and second and 2 away. Greenberg hitting from the right side. Mertz trying to limit the damage to only 1 run. Bounce that one in the dirt. It gets away from the catcher. That's going to allow the runner to advance down from second to third, as Rosario saw it all the way. Runner at first base was frozen, did not want to advance down to second base, didn't think that it got that far away from the catcher. But because it trickled in foul territory down the first base line, the base runner at second base knew that it was going to be very difficult to try to throw him out trying to advance down to third. That's going to be a late breaking pitch in for a strike. 3-1 the count now against Greenberg. Hitting 6 here today for Fort Lee in their lineup. A swing and a miss had Greenberg out in front, was fooled there and was expecting fastball, got breaking pitch instead. So Mertz now 1 strike away from potentially getting out of the inning, only giving up 1. Full count. Ricocheted into the back of the cage. We'll do it again. So 3-2 the count with runners at the corners. Only 1 base hit so far in this game for Fort Lee. That was the leadoff double by Senator. He just scored on the RBI groundout. Ground ball down to Sutera at third. He'll throw over and in time for the final out of the inning. But Fort Lee does scratch across the first run of the game after they had loaded the bases and an RBI groundout with Kyle Ratzker, allowing Fort Lee to take that first lead of the contest. We head to the top of the second, 1-0 lead here for Fort Lee at the Sugarman Athletic Complex here in Fort Lee, New Jersey. 1-0 lead for Fort Lee as we head now to the top of the second inning here in Fort Lee as Matthew Mertz, the pitcher, will get things going. Getting his first plate appearance, hitting 7th in this lineup, took the first pitch for a strike. 0-1 against Mertz. Has to duck out of the way as that pitch was sailing a little too high. Matthew Mertz, the sophomore, .278 batting average on the season for the Huskies. Lays off that pitch again, 2-1 in his favor. Mertz went 1 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base in the loss against Midland Park over the weekend. Chops that one, foul down the third base side. As Dorcom was trying to see if he was going to be able to make a play on that one. That'll even the count now at 2-2. Gabe Garcia got into some difficulty in that first inning. After erasing the first 2 hitters that he faced in order, he then loaded the bases before inducing the final hitter, Diaz, into a flyout. That is chopped down to third. Dorcom with a backhand will throw over. Can't be fielded cleanly down at first base. Base runner was probably going to be safe anyway. So Matthew Mertz has a single. Third hit of the game for Dumont, and the leadoff runner is on safely to begin the top of the second inning. Mertz was hustling his way down the first base line all the way. Again, even if it was a bang-bang play and the throw was made and the catch was also fielded cleanly by the first baseman Rosario, I don't think that Fort Lee would have gotten it over there in enough time to record the out. Brings up Alexander Martin, the junior, who's the designated hitter here this afternoon, hitting in the 8th spot in the Dumont lineup. A strike call there in the favor of Garcia. High strike in the zone. Gets ahead of the count against Martin, 0-1. Martin was 0 for 2 with an RBI against Midland Park. Curveball breaks a little too high, 1-1 the count. 200 hitter on the season for Martin. He's driven in 4 runs. He's collected 4 hits and also scored 6 runs. Has a good eye at the plate, 5 walks drawn. Ducks out of the way, and now 2-1 the count. Two-one. That is socked on a line drive. Venturing in to make the play and a chance at a double play, but the throw was offline there. The runner was off and running down at first base as that ball was made contact by Martin. So when Perez made the line out in left field, he had a chance, especially from our vantage point in the press box area deep behind center field, that if he had it on a line to first base, he would have doubled up Matthew Mertz. Instead, it just ends as 1 out. Runner's still down at first base, and they check in to see if that runner gets back safely. Joseph Sutera, the third baseman. First plate appearance of the game. Sutera, a sophomore, .125 batting average on the season. He was the starting pitcher in that loss against Midland Park on April 22nd. One of the better pitchers in this Dumont side, not getting the start here today as it was Mertz. Swing and a miss with a runner heading down to second base. The throw, but not fielded cleanly there, that time by Lee, the shortstop. And that allows the runner to get in safely. Tying run down at second base now here with 1 out in the top of the second inning. Lee trying to keep that runner close to the second base bag. Let's fly it out to right field. Now breaking in to try to make the play. What a play at that by Mansilla. He was having some initial difficulty. He had to make a hard break on the ball after kind of backpedaling a little bit initially when he saw it in the air. Didn't realize that it was not hit as hard as he initially thought it was. Had to get on his horse, and he did so in making the play. Now there's 2 outs in the inning with a runner down at second base. That brings up the leadoff hitter, Josiah Guzman. Guzman went down looking with a strikeout to start off this game. 0 for 1 this afternoon. As Guzman was trying to offer at that with a bunt attempt, so it's going to be a strike against him. 0-1 the count against the starting second baseman. That one missed high, make it 1-1 the count. Dumont led off the inning with a single by Matthew Mertz. Since then, a pair of flyouts procured by Gabe Garcia. Swing and a miss. Guzman well out in front of that offering. Now there's 2 strikes against him and a clear path here for Garcia to once again get out of trouble. Dumont had the bases loaded back in the first inning. They have a runner down at second here in the second. And that's going to be another backwards K. A called third strike, second time in this game that Garcia has fooled and frozen Guzman. And that will get him out of the second inning. So despite getting the leadoff runner on to begin the second inning, that runner is stranded down at second base for Dumont. We head to the bottom of the second. Fort Lee still in front, 1-0. We'll see as he goes to the start of his second inning of work if Matthew Mertz can settle things down a little bit more here for Dumont. In that first inning, he had the bases loaded. He did do a good job of limiting the damage to only 1 run for Fort Lee. The Bridgemen had the bases loaded with 1 out of the inning. He was bailed out with a nice defensive play by his third baseman, Sutera, who knocked down a hot shot that was destined for left field. That would have played at home 2 runs at least. Got a force out in the process at third, and that ground out and allowed Fort Lee to score the first run of the game. As we start the bottom of the second inning with Ruben Mancilla, the right fielder. Mancilla, who had that nice defensive play in the top portion of this second inning for Fort Lee in the field. Was hitless in 3 at-bats against Wallkill Valley on the weekend. Mancilla, a senior, hitting from the right side. Again, Dumont in the orange tops with the white pants. Fort Lee in the all-white, as that is fouled into the back of the cage by Mancilla. 1-2 the count against the starting right fielder for Fort Lee. Both teams will play each other again tomorrow afternoon. This time in Dumont after this one is done here today. Fort Lee started off their divisional play when they went back-to-back games against Ridgefield Park. Lost in both contests against the Scarlets. And a swing and a miss. And the catcher will administer the tag. First strikeout of the game for Matthew Mertz as Mancilla is retired to begin the bottom of the second inning. That'll bring up the left fielder, Emmanuel Perez. Perez 0 for 3 against Wallkill Valley on Saturday. Also through 5 innings of work against Wallkill Valley. So far this season, Perez, the best pitcher for the Bridgemen, 2.21 ERA in 6 1/3 innings of work. 0-1 the count against Perez. Socks that one on a line drive, and that's going to fall. Fair, once again, down the left field line. And for the second time in as many innings for Fort Lee, they have doubles down that left field line. Extra bases for Emmanuel Perez, who pumps his fist in exultation after another extra base hit is produced against Matthew Mertz. Runner in scoring position with one out here in the bottom of the second inning. So both hits here today for Fort Lee have been almost identical down that left field line, just hung fair right in front of the foul line. And brings up Marcus Lee, the shortstop, hitting ninth in the lineup for Fort Lee. Lee went 2 for 3 with a run scored against Wallkill Valley. Once again, the pitch gets away from the catcher, Tyler Mertz. The Mertz boys are the battery in this game, and Matthew Mertz pitching has thrown it away from Tyler Mertz a couple of times. And wild pitch now allows Perez to head down to third with only one out of the inning. Simple sac fly could make this a 2-run lead for Fort Lee. Bridgemen erupted for 15 runs in this matchup a season ago, on their way to a lopsided victory at home against Dumont. Good eye at the plate there by Lee. 3-1 the count in his favor with the top of the lineup and Luke Senator waiting on deck. 3-1, ground ball down to the shortstop, freezing the runner down at third, not allowing him to advance on the ground ball. Throw got behind the Dumont third baseman. That will allow Fort Lee to score. So after Mertz had done his job, it looked like he got the ground ball he wanted from his shortstop, froze the runner at third base, and the throw over to first was in time. Then it was an error against the first baseman who was trying to throw behind the runner at third base. That errant throw allows Fort Lee to produce their second run of the game, and the Bridgemen now lead 2-0 with 2 outs and nobody on here. The bottom of the second. That's a big miscue, a big error there for Dumont. Should be 2 outs with the runner still down at third base and still a 1-0 lead for the Fort Lee Bridgemen. Luke Senator, 1 for 1 this afternoon. He dropped that first hit of the game down in fair territory, just hugging the foul line in left field. Eerily similar to how Emmanuel Perez did the same thing in this inning. 2-1 the count against Senator. Lays off that pitch. Now out of the count, 3-1. Number 1 hitting in the number 1 spot in the lineup here today. And he takes it low for ball 4. So Senator becomes a 2-out base runner here for the Bridgemen. Third walk of the afternoon for Matthew Mertz. Brings up Keizo Kanayama. Kanayama 0 for 1, flew out to center field at his first at-bat. Takes that one low to the outside, 1-0 the count. Stepping off the diamond, or stepping off the rubber, I should say, was Matthew Mertz, trying to keep that base runner close to the first base bag as Senator maybe bluffing at being a stolen base threat. No stolen bases this season for number 1. 2-0 the count now against Katayama. Two one. Runner is off. The throw down to second. Not going to be in time. Senator stole that one cleanly. He's now down in scoring position, still with 2 outs in the inning. So Fort Lee has scored 2 runs so far in this game. They're looking for more, all with 2 outs here in the inning. Katayama just a little tardy in that one. Fouled it straight back into the cage. 2-2 the count against Keizo Katayama, who has been a pitcher, shortstop, and now center fielder this season. Missing to the outside. That'll low the count now at 3-2. Three-two. Fouled off, and Katayama will stay alive for at least another pitch in this at-bat. 2 hits in this game for Fort Lee, both of them doubles down the left field line. Against Matthew Mertz, trying to once again limit the damage to 1 run in the inning. But he misses high. That's going to be ball 4 already in this game. That is the 4th walk surrendered by Matthew Mertz. And Fort Lee, after producing that run here in the inning, they're not done yet. All with 2 outs. Now runners at second and first. And 2 away. Brings up Jack Dorcom. Dorcom drew the first walk of the game back in the first inning. So Mertz has been struggling with his location in the early goings here this afternoon. Dorcom trying to sky that one, but he does so into the top portion of the back of the cage, and that's going to be a foul ball against him. 0-2 the count as Mertz once again ahead of the count here and a chance to get out of the inning, giving up only 1. Senator down at second base. He's another run in scoring position. That one is bounced to the dirt, gets away from Tyler Mertz, and that allows runners to advance to second and third, respectively. Even if that was fielded cleanly by the catcher, Senator got such a great jump on that one from second base. I think he was going to steal third safely and rather easily as well. And a swing and a miss there, and that will strand those 2 additional runners in scoring position as Dorcom goes down on strikes. But Fort Lee, for the second consecutive inning, push across 1 run on the board. They'll take a 2-0 lead into the top of the 3rd inning here on YouTube. Top of the 3rd inning here at the Sugarman Sports Complex in Fort Lee, New Jersey. 2-0 lead for the home side as Fort Lee leading Dumont, producing a pair of doubles so far in this game. Each time those runners have come around to eventually score. Gabe Garcia beginning his 3rd inning of work on the mound. Nick Etter, the star for Dumont, taking a couple of pitches. Etter flew out to left field back in the first inning. He's 0 for 1. Lost that one right into the waiting glove of Greenberg down at second base. A looping line drive. And Etter is retired for the second time this afternoon. 1 away to begin the top of the 3rd. Brings up the catcher, Tyler Mertz, hitting from the left side. As Garcia missing high, 1-0. Mertz had an infield single back in the first inning. Collected the first hit of the game for the Huskies. Will fly that one out to left field. But calling off is the center fielder, Katayama. Ranges over to make the putout. And now there's quickly 2 away to begin the third inning. Center fielder is always the quarterback in that outfield, and he gets the final say. Called off his left fielder there as Perez was in a good position, ranging over to left center field side, and also potentially make that last out. But Katayama made the play. So Tim Gander will step in, the first baseman. Gander drew a walk his first at bat. Gander flies that one out to deep center field, and Katayama going over to the right center field side makes the putout. So a quick inning of work there for Gabe Garcia. He gets 3 quick outs in less than 8 total pitches in the inning. And now we head to the bottom of the third inning. It still remains a 2-0 lead for Fort Lee, as the Bridgemen trying to win their first divisional game of the season in the Big North American Division. Bottom of the third inning. After a very quick top of the third inning, saw a 1-2-3 inning put on the board for Gabe Garcia and Fort Lee. Franco Rosario, the fourth place hitter who drew a walk back in the first inning, will lead things off for the Bridgemen here in the bottom of the third. Fort Lee 2 runs on 2 hits in this game. They've also drawn 4 walks against Matthew Mertz. Getting the start for the Huskies of Dumont here this afternoon. Dumont 5-5-1 on the season. As that one's bounced low. Their lone tie coming against Mawa on April 14th. Tied the Thunderbirds 8-8 on the road. They swept a pair of games against Dwight Morrow to collect their 2 divisional wins this season. As that pitch is taken high. 2-2 the count against Rosario. Now missed high, loads the count full, 3-2. Dumont a season ago went 8-15 overall, splitting their 2 games against Fort Lee. And now Rosario will take his base, and he will be a leadoff base runner for the Bridgemen to begin the bottom of the third inning. And is that all for Matthew Mertz? As it looks like that might be the case. So a new pitcher is going to be coming in the game now for Dumont. Another walk, the 5th walk surrendered this afternoon by Mertz. So he only goes 2 innings of work before the ball is now going to be handed to another pitcher for the Huskies. So Dumont will go to a new pitcher here today. As they're trying to bring a little bit stability here against the Bridgemen. New pitcher is going to be the starting right fielder, Frankie Martinez, number 9. The junior comes in. This season, he's been pitching to a 6.22 ERA, has thrown 9 innings of work, has allowed 16 hits, 9 runs, 8 of which have been earned, 7 strikeouts, and 6 walks for the Huskies in that pitching performance so far this season. So Martinez is the new hurler in the game now, the right-hander, getting his last warm-up tosses in. So Matthew Mertz will stay in the game, and he will head out to right field, taking Martinez's spot. Runner at first, nobody out here, bottom of the 3rd inning. Kyle Ratzker. Throw it to first, trying to keep Rosario close. Matthew Mertz allowed 2 runs on 2 hits. 1 run was earned. 2 strikeouts, 5 walks. Responsible still for Rosario down at first base. As Martinez missing high. Ratzker got the RBI on the fielder's choice ground down back in the 1st inning with the bases loaded. Healthy cut there, fouls that one backwards. That pitch again sailed a little high outside the zone. 3-1 the count. So Martinez has come into this game and has also been a little wild. 3-1. Elicits the swing and a miss, though, to make the count run full at 3-2. Already 5 walks in this game, and there's nobody out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning for Fort Lee. Swing and a miss, might have been swinging at a potential ball 4, and Ratzker goes down with the strikeout. First strikeout for Frankie Martinez since coming into the game. And there's one away now with a runner down at first base in the bottom of the 3rd. Brings up the second baseman, Greenberg. Oh for 1 today. Runner is going, thrown down to second base. That goes wide to the bag. That'll go all the way into center field. Not far away enough for Rosario to think about making the turn from second down to 3rd. He'll be content with a stolen base, as Fort Lee has been running frequently so far this afternoon, really testing Tyler Mertz. Another stolen base for the Bridgemen. Runner down in scoring position now with 1 out. Greenberg will pop this one up in the infield. Fellow second baseman venturing out was Guzman, just outside the edge of the diamond, and now there's 2 away with a runner down at second base. That brings up number 15, Ruben Mancilla. Mancilla is 0 for 1 with a strikeout in his last at-bat in the 2nd inning. Fort Lee trying to score for the third consecutive inning. Try to stretch their lead again. Here's a pickoff attempt. Not back in time, though. That pitch, low in the dirt, on the outside edge. Martinez, through 2 1/3 innings of work, allowed 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 strikeouts in that loss in their last game against Midland Park. Mancilla trying to deliver 2 outs, but he'll line that one out to center field as Etter comes over to make the play. So Fort Lee got that leadoff base runner on courtesy of the walk, but he's stranded down at second base. For the first time in this game, Fort Lee is held off the board. We head to the top of the 4th inning. It remains a 2-0 lead for Fort Lee as you're watching New Jersey High School baseball here, courtesy of the Fort Lee Athletic Department's YouTube channel. Top of the 4th inning. Dumont still looking to produce their first runs of the afternoon here on the road. Ethan Chiramonte, shortstop, is leading things off for the Huskies. Chiramonte had a single back in the 1st inning. 1 for 1 this afternoon. Still going against Gabe Garcia. That's a line drive. Not having to move all that much was Perez in left field. Another put out here for Perez. And there's one away to begin the top of the 4th inning. Hard hit connection, but Gabe Garcia has been a pitcher that's been pitching to his defense, pitching to the contact, and getting those outs piled up. He has now retired 6 straight Dumont hitters in a row, dating back to the 2nd inning. Here's Anderson Diaz, the left fielder. Again, another hot shot, this time into the glove of Greenberg down at second base, and in the blink of an eye, there's 2 away to begin the top of the 4th inning. 7 straight Huskies retired in order. That brings up Matthew Mertz. Mertz was the last base runner in this game. He had a single to lead off the 2nd inning. He's the last one who's gotten on safely in this contest for the visitors. Batting with no one on, 2 outs in the top of the 4th. Grounded that one into the back of the cage. 1-1 the count against Matthew Mertz, who's now playing in right field after getting the start as the pitcher here this afternoon. Curveball bounced the dirt by Garcia. Garcia's given up 3 hits in this game, 2 strikeouts, no runs, only 1 walk. Bounces that one again, low in the dirt. 3-1 the count, so Mertz trying to snap that streak of 7 in a row retired. Take it all the way on 3-1. Curveball breaks in for a strike to run the count full at 3-2. Curveball. And they say it missed on the outside. A couple of the infielders were starting to make their way over to the third base line for Fort Lee, thinking that was going to be a called third strike. Instead, it just missed on the outer edge of the strike zone, and Matthew Mertz is going to be a two-out base runner here in the top of the fourth inning. So the tying run comes to home plate now for the Huskies as they throw over, trying to keep Mertz close to the first base bag. Second walk given up in this game by Garcia. Brings up Alexander Martin. As that's taken off the edge. Martin flew out to left field back in the second inning. He's 0 for 1 this afternoon. Hitting 8th in the lineup here today for Dumont. Again, we'll fly this one out. Can of corn there for Perez in left field. As now Dumont scoreless through the first 4 innings of play. We head to the bottom of the fourth, and Fort Lee leading 2-0 in this divisional showdown. Bottom of the fourth inning, 2-0 lead for the Bridgemen. 8, 9, and 1 hitters due up here. As that's taken in for a strike by Emmanuel Perez, the left fielder. Perez 1 for 1 here today. Had a double back in the second inning and eventually came around to score the second run of the day for Fort Lee. Curveball by Martinez, also breaking the inside corner, quickly ahead of the count 0-2. Both of Fort Lee's hits, almost identical position on the field, right on the foul line, down the left field line. Perez just got a piece of that one to stay alive in this at-bat. Still 0-2 the count against the starting left fielder for the Bridgemen. Perez, who, when he's not in the outfield, has been the team's best pitcher so far this season. And they're going to say outside corner. That goes for a strike. And Perez is retired for the first out of the bottom of the fourth inning. So Frankie Martinez dialing up his second strikeout since coming to this game out of the bullpen. There's one away to begin the bottom of the fourth. Fourth strikeout for Dumont pitching here this afternoon, and that one thrown over the head of Marcus Lee. Fort Lee's shortstop has to duck underneath. 1-0 the count in his favor. Lee grounded out to shortstop his first time up. 0 for 1. It was kind of weird how that last at-bat for Lee ended. He grounded out. Shortstop had done his job, and he froze that runner at third base. They weren't breaking with the ground ball. But then, at the tail end of the play, the first baseman was trying to throw behind the runner at third, and in doing so, threw it away from his third baseman, and that allowed that second run to score, increasing the lead for Fort Lee to 2 runs. Breaking pitch also missed outside, and Marcus Lee will earn the one-out walk here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Fourth consecutive inning that Fort Lee has had at least one base runner reach safely. Now we head back to the top of the Fort Lee lineup and Luke Senator. 6 walks already in this game for Dumont pitching. Senator earned a walk his last at bat in the second. Again, Fort Lee aggressive base running. They steal second base easily with that throw airmailed into center field. Senator started off the game with the double down the left field line, came around to score in the first. Lee being kept close to the bag by the shortstop, Giramonte. That one is grounded down to second base. It's going to advance the runner down to third, but now there's going to be 2 outs in the inning. After the ground ball to Guzman, handled over to the first base side. 4-3 putout as Senator is retired for the first time this afternoon. That brings up Keizo Katayama, the center fielder. Katayama 0 for 1 with a walk here this afternoon. Flew out to center field back in the first inning. Drew that walk in the second inning. Katayama lines that one, but that's going to be hooking foul down the left field line. Katayama's been the best player for Fort Lee this season. He has been one of their top players overall throughout his illustrious Fort Lee career. Trying to deliver a hit here for his team and drive in their potential third run of the game here in the bottom of the fourth inning. I think they still have to retrieve that foul ball that was down that left field line. Oh, and 1 the count against Katayama, swinging from the right side. Martinez breaking ball. Missing inside. 1-1. Martinez came into this game in the last inning, in the third inning, with nobody out and a runner on first. Produced a strikeout and a couple of pop-ups. Martinez firing the strike. Now ahead of the count, 1-2. Sun's starting to peek through the clouds, and again, it's been a little cooler weather than we've been enjoying the last couple of weeks. With the weather being in the 70s and 80s and even 90s. That is fouled straight back by Katayama. 57 degrees, a little cooler. Still hoodie weather here in northern New Jersey. And these two teams will lock horns once again tomorrow afternoon. Fort Lee trying to win here at home for the second consecutive season against their rivals. Curveball missing high again from Martinez. Swing and a miss and a huge strikeout dialed up there by Frankie Martinez as he strands that runner down at third base. And Katayama came away without any contact. We head to the top of the fifth inning. It still is a 2-run lead for Fort Lee as you're watching New Jersey baseball here on YouTube. Frankie Martinez has done a nice job for Dumont since coming into this game. 3 strikeouts, no runs, no hits allowed. Has given up 1 walk. Trying to keep this only a 2-run deficit for his side as we head to the top of the 5th inning. Dan Long, so glad that he could join us here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. First ball swinging, and that's going to be lined into shallow center field for a base hit. Leadoff runner is on, and Joseph Sutera delivering the first base hit since back in the 2nd inning for the Huskies. First ball swinging against Garcia. He got something he liked and was able to float it over the head of the shortstop into shallow center field. 4th hit of the day for Dumont. That'll bring up Josiah Guzman at the top of the order for the Huskies. Guzman 0 for 2 with a pair of backwards strikeouts in this game. He has gone down looking twice, swings and misses. Comes away with nothing against Garcia. So Sutera getting the base hit. He's 1 for 2 this afternoon. He's the base runner down at first. Tying run is in the form of Guzman. Huskies produced 3 hits over the course of the first 2 innings against Garcia, but came away with no hits in the last 2 innings. Batting here down by 2 in the top of the 5th. Guzman trying to drop down the bunt, deadened it, but it rolled foul. So now 2 strikes against Josiah Guzman. The junior who has some amazing wheels. He is very, very fast. 2 stolen bases in the loss against Midland Park in their last game. 6 stolen bases on the season. So if he gets on, he could terrorize you. 2 strikes against him, though. Lays off that pitch high. Garcia looking for a big out here. Handcuffed him, and they're going to say that was outside and a little too high. No, they're going to say that is strike 3. And for the 3rd time in this game, Guzman goes down looking and slowly made his way off the field as well. All 3 strikeouts in this game have been of Guzman in the same variety. That time the ball got away from Senator, did not know where it was. It's still behind him. Base runner will venture his way down to second base without a throw. So Sutera is down in scoring position with 1 away. For Nick Etter. 0 for 2. He lined out to second base his last time up in the 3rd inning. Also flew out to left field back in the 1st. Etter is such a dangerous player. 8 RBIs on the season, including 2 home runs. One of the top players on this team, has a great eye at the plate. 9 walks already earned this season. Takes that one in the dirt, throw down to third base, and are they going to say in time? No, they're going to say safe. The throw had beaten Sutera to the third base bag, but the tag could not be administered before Sutera got his foot in there safely. That would have been a huge out, potentially, for Fort Lee. That would have given them their second out of the inning and had no one on base. That falls in for a strike in the inner corner. 3-1 the count against Etter. Dumont trying to plate home their first run of the game. Driven into the back of the cage. Now the count runs full, 3-2. Sutera led off the inning with a base hit. He's now down to third base with 1 out of the inning. And his time is going to be called. 3-2. And that one actually hit Etter there, and that's going to give him first base. Runners at the corners with one out here in the top of the fifth inning. And the potential go-ahead run now coming to home plate in the form of Tyler Mertz. First hit batter of the game, as Eder will take his base. Even if it didn't hit him, it was going to be so far outside, it would have been a walk on a 3-2 pitch. As Mertz drives that into the back of the cage, foul. He's 1 for 2 this afternoon with a single back in the first inning. Flew out to center field his last time up in the third. Runner is going from first, throw down to second, not in time. It's going to be a double steal, and Dumont's going to plate home that first run. And in the process, with the throw getting away from the catcher, Eder will head all the way down to third base. So the tying run is now down at third, with still only one out here in the inning. In that situation, Fort Lee obviously would have been better suited if a throw was not even made. Not worrying about that runner trying to take second base. As they were throwing it, the runner from third broke to home. So Tara would score. The throw got away from the catcher, and that allowed Eder now to head down to third base as the tying run. Ground ball, base hits, and we are level at 2-2. And an RBI single there by Tyler Mertz. His second hit of the game. Dumont draws even here at the top of the fifth inning. It's all those little things that come back to haunt you in the course of a baseball game. And after Sutera led off the inning with a base hit, had a steal, also got in safely at third base when it looked like it was a bang-bang play. That double steal and then the RBI single. Here's a pop-up trying to make the over-the-shoulder play, and nice job at that by Greenberg. Second baseman all the way in shallow right field. Had to go all the way back to collect that pop-up by Gander. 2 outs in the inning now with the runners still down at first base. That was a difficult play made to look easy by Greenberg. Giaramonte now stepping up to home plate. He's 1 for 2 this afternoon. Hit a single in the first inning. Flew out to left field his last time up in the fourth. Dumont has tied this game, and now the pickoff move is in time. Tyler Mertz was leaning a little too far off the first base bag. The umpire made the call, and a good pickoff move by Gabe Garcia gets him his third and final out of the inning. But Dumont scores their first 2 runs of the afternoon and have drawn level here at 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the fifth inning here in Fort Lee. So Fort Lee now has their 2-run lead vanished as it's a 2-2 ball game as we head to the bottom of the fifth inning. 3, 4, and 5 hitters due up in this inning now for the Bridgmen. as Frankie Martinez takes to the rubber yet again for his third inning of work. Second pitcher in this game for Dumont after Matthew Mertz got the start. All the runs charged against Mertz. Martinez has been solid in relief. But that's going to be a leadoff single into left field for Dorcom. So Jack Dorcom now is 1 for 2 in this game with a walk as well. That is only the third hit of the afternoon for the Bridgemen, and their first hit that is not a double down the left field line. First base hit for Fort Lee since the second inning. And that'll bring up Franco Rosario. Rosario has drawn a pair of walks in this game, has been on base in both plate appearances this afternoon. As that's taken for a high strike. 0-1 the count against Rosario. Healthy cut, swing and a miss though against Martinez, and quickly Rosario behind the count 0-2. Just kind of curious at how Fort Lee would approach this at bat with Rosario. He's swinging a hot bat, so rather than maybe bring him up to drop down a bunt and bring that runner into scoring position, they had Rosario swinging away here. Won their last game 4-3. They're in a 2-2 game here, are the Bridgemen. Pickoff attempt this time for Dumont. Could not be handled cleanly by the first baseman. As Gander will get it back to his pitcher. Rosario backing off after that was breaking to the inner portion of the plate. Go ahead, run down at first base. Nobody out here in the bottom of the fifth inning here at the Sugarman Sports Complex in Fort Lee, New Jersey. Dumont just leveled the score in the top portion of this fifth. Rosario fouls that one into the top of the cage. We'll do it all over again. Again, Martinez's pitch. Broke two in tights against the right-hand hitter. 2-2 the count now against Rosario. He's battled back after falling behind initially 0-2. Rosario drew a walk in the first, drew a walk again in the third. 2-2, swing and a miss, strike three. Third strikeout of the game now for Frankie Martinez since coming into this action. Correction, fourth strikeout of the game for Martinez. Sixth strikeout overall for Dumont pitching. One away with a runner down at first. That one is popped up in the infield by Ratzker. Calling for it and making the play is Sutera down at third base, and there's now two away. Ratzker jumped on the first pitch that he saw out of the hand of Martinez. He's now 0 for 3 in this ballgame, and that brings up Max Greenberg. Greenberg 0 for 2, grounded out to third, also popped up to second base in this game. Greenberg with a hot shot, ranging down at his knees to make the snag of that line drive was Chiramonte. And Martinez gets around that leadoff single that he allowed. No runs, one hit, and one left on base. We head to the top of the sixth inning. 2-2 the score between Dumont and Fort Lee. After being shut out through the first 4 innings of play, Dumont plating home their first 2 runs in the last inning. They bring this to a 2-2 game as we head now to the top of the 6th inning. Ethan Chiaramonte, the shortstop, leading things off here for the Huskies. He was at home plate when the pickoff move was executed to perfection by Gabe Garcia that ended the last 5th inning. Chiaramonte with a hot shot into left field. He'll lead off the top of the 6th inning with a base hit. His second single of the day. He's 2 for 3. And the Huskies have the leadoff runner on for the second consecutive inning. Sixth hit of the game for Dumont. 2 runs on 6 hits in this game. Brings up Anderson Diaz, the left fielder. Diaz, first ball swing, fouls that into the top of the cage for a foul ball, 0-1. Diaz 0 for 2 this afternoon, flew out to right field back in the first inning, lined out to the second baseman his last time up in the 4th. Garcia has given up 2 runs on 6 hits in this game. 3 strikeouts, all of Josiah Guzman. Ducking out of the way was Anderson. 2-1 the count against Anderson. That one breaks in the inner portion of the plate for a strike. Anderson Diaz, with his body language, was trying to buy that call trying to motion that was too in tight. But the umpire begged to differ. Broke into the inner portion of the strike zone at the last minute. Evens the count at 2-2. Garcia looking for a big out here with a runner on first and nobody out at the top of the 6th inning. Go-ahead run at first base for Dumont. They have never led in this game. Trying to stay undefeated in the Big North America Division. 2-0 coming into play today. Wortley looking for their first league win. That is chopped down to the shortstop. Lee will handle it on one bounce. The throw over to first in time. The runner will move down to second base, but there's 1 out in the inning here. It was too softly hit by Diaz for Lee to think about turning a double play. So the only play that he could make was getting it over in time to first base. Diaz is retired. As good as a sacrifice bunt, though, and moves that go-ahead run and the lead run into scoring position with 1 out of the inning. Brings up Matthew Mertz. Mertz, first ball swinging. That's gobbled up again by the shortstop Lee. They're over to first, and now the runner is down to third base, but with 2 outs in the inning. Back-to-back 6-3 putouts after Mertz is retired for the first time today. So a chance to get out of the inning if Garcia can retire Alexander Martin, the DH. It was 0 for 2 with a pair of flyouts to left field. 2-2 the score. Dumont has a runner down at third base with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Missed on the outside. 2-0 the count now against Martin, hitting 8th in the lineup. Sutera, who scored the first run of the game for Dumont, is waiting on deck. That is a line drive. Base hit down the left field line. That's going to be extra bases. As that rolls all the way to the wall, it's going to be a ground rule double as it went outside the facility. So a ground rule double on the hot shot by Alexander Martin. He has given Dumont their first lead of the afternoon on the RBI double with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th inning. Clutch hitting there by the DH. A 3-2 lead now for Dumont. Martin delivers there when his team needed that boost. Driving in his 5th RBI of the season. Now Sutera trying to flare that one over to the right side. And that just goes foul in the play. Rosario down at first base was trying to make almost a barehanded attempt at it if he could get to it in time. If that had floated into fair territory, that would have most likely driven in another run in the inning for Dumont. So the Huskies now scoring 3 unanswered runs in this game to take a 3-2 lead. Bouncer in the dirt, throw down to third base, not in time. As Dumont taking all the extra bases as well, Alexander Martin saw an opportunity and he moves from second to third base. Now, once again, with 2 outs in the inning. Bouncer in the dirt. Senator trying to get to it to keep it in front. Did just enough there to prevent that idea for Martin to score on the pass ball down the third base line. Garcia trying to limit the damage here to only 1 run in the inning. Keep this a 1-run deficit for Fort Lee, as that's jettisoned into the back of the cage. Sutera 1 for 2 in this game. Flew out to right field back in the second inning. Had a base hit to lead off the 5th inning. Came around to score the first run of the game for the Huskies. Swing and a miss on the curveball, and Sutera is retired. But not before Dumont can procure their first lead of the game. On an RBI double with 2 outs in the top of the 6th inning by Alexander Martin. His RBI double has staked his team out to a 3-2 lead as we head to the bottom of the 6th here on YouTube. Fort Lee now with some work to do. First time facing a deficit this afternoon in what has been a well-pitched game between both sides. Frankie Martinez has been a revelation for Dumont since coming to this game as a reliever. Started in right field and has been just posting 0 after 0 since coming in this game with nobody out in the 3rd inning. That is a high fly ball, towering shot down the left field line, and Diaz will range over to make the play. 1 pitch, 1 out off the bat of Ruben Mancilla to begin this bottom of the 6th inning. As that brings up Emmanuel Perez. He is due up next for Fort Lee. Perez is 1 for 2 this afternoon. Had a double back in the 2nd inning and scored the 2nd run of the game for the Bridgemen. Also went down looking with a strikeout his last time in the 4th. As Martinez bounces that one in the dirt. Martinez has given up only 1 base hit since coming into the game. Hot shot down to the glove of the 3rd baseman. Sutera just had to bend down to make that put out, and there's 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Another line drive out to the right side of the infield defense. Taken for a strike by Marcus Lee. Lee, the ninth place hitter in the lineup, drew a walk his last time up in the fourth. Also grounded out to short back at the second. Here's a pop-up in the infield. Ranging back is the second baseman into shallow center field. It's Guzman to make the third and final out in a very fast bottom of the sixth inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, no one left on base. We head to the top of the seventh. Dumont trying to gain a couple of insurance runs here on top of Fort Lee by a score of 3-2. So as we head to the top of the seventh inning, a pitching change has been made by Fort Lee, as Peter Krautchik has now gone to his number one pitcher to try to keep this just a one-run deficit. As coming in from left field is going to be Emmanuel Perez. Perez this season pitching 2.21 ERA for the Bridgmen, 6 1/3 innings of work, 3 hits allowed, 5 runs, only 2 of which were earned, 2 strikeouts, and 5 walks. So that'll end the afternoon for Gabe Garcia, and all things considered, an outstanding outing for Garcia. He went 6 innings, allowed 3 runs, 2 of which were earned, on 6 hits, struck out 4, and walked only 2. So now Perez is going to be called on to get those 3 outs here in the top of the seventh and keep this a 3-2 game heading to the bottom of the seventh inning. Dan Long, Maria Giannattasio, and Dimitri Nanis, who's producing this broadcast. So glad that he could join us here on YouTube for another edition of Fort Lee Bridgman Baseball. Brought you the sights and sounds of a league game earlier this season against Ridgefield Park. Now Fort Lee entertaining and hosting Dumont again. Both teams are going to do it all over again tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon at Dumont. The man that is happiest to see Garcia gone is this man standing at home plate, the leadoff hitter, Josiah Guzman for Dumont. He was 0 for 3 with a pair, or with 3 strikeouts, I should say. All gone down looking. Just could not pick up that ball out of the hand of Garcia here this afternoon. And he faces the fireballer of Perez for a strike 0-1. That pitch, that got a piece of Guzman, and he will take his base. So that pitch missed high, ricocheted off of Guzman, and Guzman will be the second hit batter in this game for Dumont. And the leadoff runner is on yet again for the Huskies to begin an inning. Already told you about the exploits, the base-stealing exploits of Guzman. You'd have to think he's going to be off and running relatively shortly in this next at-bat. As soon as I say that, there he is, off and running. The throw down to second is perfect from Senator. And Guzman is retired, trying to steal second. A huge caught stealing there to start off the top of the seventh inning. Dumont wasting little time. They got their leading base stealer on base. Did not even wait for more than a pitch. And Perez is bailed out by his catcher, Senator, who had a frozen rope down to second base. As Lee administered the tag, one away. Brings up Eder, who takes that for a strike as the left-hand hitter steps in. Eder was the one who got hit by a pitch in his last plate appearance in the fifth inning. 0 for 2 as well this afternoon. Fastball missing to the outside. Nice, comfortable afternoon here at the Sugarman Sports Complex. Getting a little on the cooler side, a little breeze throughout the facility as we're in late April. After playing Dumont tomorrow, Fort Lee will also hit the road on Friday afternoon to take on the Paladins of Paramus Catholic High School, before coming back home to host New Milford on Saturday, as that pitch missed outside the zone. Full count 3-2 against Eder. Taken inside for ball 4. So since coming into this game, Emmanuel Perez has hit a batter and now given up a walk. One on base runner for Dumont to begin the top of the 7th. Third walk of the game for Dumont hitters. Brings up Tyler Mertz. Mertz had an RBI single his last time up in the fifth inning. He's 2 for 3 this afternoon with a pair of hits. Catcher trying to extend his team's one-run lead, as that's taken low and inside. Good job by Senator of keeping that in front of him. Mertz had the first hit of the game, an infield single back in the first inning. Flew out to center field in the third. RBI single in the fifth. That pitch missed high, and Perez has not been accurate since coming into this game. That one is driven into shallow center field. That's going to be, no, not ruled a base hit. I don't know what the call is, but I saw the home plate umpire come out. I don't know officially what happened there. Was that deemed to be a balk, potentially? There's a runner down at second base now. Coach Kraljic is out to voice his opposition there. That would be the only thing that I can imagine it being, so that negated what was going to be a base hit to shallow center field. But the base runner has moved down to second base in the process. So Mertz is still hitting here with a runner in scoring position. That pitch missed high and wide, and Perez has been struggling since coming into this game. This time it's a ground ball, knocked down. What a play at shortstop by Lee. That saves a run. Unbelievable play defensively by Lee. He used all his speed to field that ground ball behind the second base bag, threw his glove out to make the snag, and still had enough of an ability to pop himself up and throw over to first in time to deny Tyler Mertz an RBI single up the middle. Runner stands down at third base, but now there's 2 away in the inning. That was a sensational play by the shortstop for Fort Lee. Now Tim Gander, the first baseman, looking for an RBI opportunity here. Drew a walk back in the first inning. Flew out to center field in the third, popped up to second base his last time up in the fifth. He's 0 for 2 this afternoon. Again, I cannot harp on that last defensive web gem enough by Lee. That saved a run for sure. Gander drives that one deep to right field. Hooking, and is that going to be a fair ball? They do say that is a fair ball down the right field line, and that will score the run. Big insurance run there and an RBI single by Tim Gander. And Dumont has now increased their lead to 4-2. It was tough to see if that was going to be deemed to be fair down that right field line. And Silla was trying to play that one back in just in case it was. And it was fair, and Gander did not want to press his luck and go that far off of first base. So another run on the board for Dumont. They've done all their work here late in the game. 2 runs in the 5th inning, 1 run in the 6th, and 1 run here with 2 outs in the 7th. Strike here against Ethan Chiramonte. Bounce in the dirt. So Gander drives in the run. More 2-out run production in this game for both teams. 4-2 advantage for Dumont. Perez missing high in the fastball. His fastball just naturally today has been rising up and out of the zone. That's gotten him in some trouble. Hit the first batter in Guzman. Then walked Eder. Got a ground out to short. And then the RBI single by Tim Gander. Was also bailed out by his catcher, throwing out a would-be base stealer in Guzman, who started off the inning with the getting hit by the pitch. That one is popped into the back of the cage. Perez once again just trying to limit the damage, as we've been saying. All of the pitchers so far in this game have been so effective at that. No big innings so far for either team. Fort Lee had a couple of great scoring opportunities earlier in this game, and they were limited to 1 run in both the first and second innings. They could have come away with much more. Dumont putting up 2 runs in the 5th, 1 run in the 6th, 1 more here in the 7th. Couple of pickoff attempts, not in time, back at first base. Chiramonte with a pair of hits in this game. He's 2 for 3. Had a base hit to lead off the 6th inning. Also had a hit back in the 1st. Weak ground ball down that first base line, but it hooks foul. Perez looking for that final out. Missing high now with the curve. Full count, 3-2. Runners going. That one is hit high to left field, ranging over, trying to see if he can make the play, but it goes out of the complex for a foul ball. That was the new left fielder, Jake Lee, who took over left field after Perez was called to the mound to begin the 7th inning. Again, it'll be a 3-2 count against Chiramonte. Once again, a towering pop-up. We'll see if this stays in the facility. And Lee will come over right near the line for the final out of the inning. But the big hit was an RBI single down the right field line by Tim Gander. That drove in the insurance run. That has now staked Dumont out to a 2-run lead. We head to the bottom of the 7th inning as Fort Lee looks to rally here at home against Dumont on YouTube. Frankie Martinez has been rolling since coming in this game as the second pitcher for Dumont. He heads to the mound now trying to finish off and get this win for his side. He's been given 2 runs to work with, a 4-2 lead for Dumont. Martinez has been brilliant since coming in this game with a runner on first with nobody out in the 3rd inning. He's put up 0 after 0 on the board. 4 consecutive scoreless innings of work for Martinez, has given up only 1 base hit to the Bridgeman. As Luke Senator, the leadoff hitter, will try to start off a rally here in the bottom of the 7th for the Bridgeman. Senator knocked down by the second baseman in time for the 4-3 putout as Guzman stayed with it all the way. And Senator is retired for the second consecutive at-bat with a ground ball to second. That'll bring up Keizo Katayama. Katayama trying to get on base to bring up the potential tying run for Fort Lee. Katayama without a base hit so far in this game, flew out to center field back in the 1st inning, drew a walk in the 2nd, and struck out swinging in the 4th. Katayama in his last at-bat was in one of those spots where Fort Lee could have potentially tacked on. At that point, they were enjoying a 2-0 lead. Martinez got a big swing and a miss strikeout to end that inning with a runner down at 3rd. Katayama takes that one in for a strike. As Martinez looking for the second out of the inning. Katayama grounds that one down to 3rd. Throwing over the diamond and a beautiful pick at first base by Gander. Sutera's throw was on a bouncer. Gander had to pick that one clean as he did right off the turf here at the Sugarman Sports Complex. And now Fort Lee is down to their final out of the game. Pair of infield groundouts to begin this bottom of the 7th inning. And that'll bring up the 3rd baseman, Jack Dorcom. Dorcom had a base hit his last plate appearance in the 5th. Takes that one for a strike. Swinging wildly, and that one in the dirt. 0-2 the count, so Fort Lee down to their final strike of the game. As the sun starts to really come out right now. 4-2 lead for Dumont. Bottom of the 7th inning, trying to take the first of 2 meetings this week. And win here on the road. Here's the 0-2. Just fouled off and fouled back by Dorcom to stay alive in this at-bat. Drew a walk in the 1st, struck out swinging in the 2nd, and had that base hit, like I mentioned last time up, to lead off the 5th inning. Dorcom stepping back into the batter's box. Martinez looking for his put-away pitch. Just missing on the outer edge after the infield was starting to race in, thinking that that was the final pitch of the game. So Dorcom and Fort Lee with new life. Martinez taking a little time as he steps off the rubber, trying to get things sorted out at home plate as well. Again, Frankie Martinez has been locked down since coming to this game. Weak grounder. Going to be handled by the shortstop, Shiramonte, over in time, and that will be the ball game. So Dumont rallies from down 2 runs in the 5th inning to produce the game's last 4 unanswered runs to win this ball game on the road by a final score of 4-2. With the victory, Dumont will improve to 6-5-1 on the season and remain unbeaten in American Division play at 3-0. With the defeat, Fort Lee will fall to 1-9 on the season and 0-3 in the Big North American Division. Fort Lee will hit the road to take on Dumont tomorrow in their next game, before then traveling to Paramus Catholic on Friday before coming back home here on Saturday. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another edition of Fort Lee Bridgman Baseball here on YouTube. For everybody here from the Sugarman Sports Complex, I'm Dan Long saying so long, and thanks for watching here on YouTube. Take care, everybody.